Welcome to Mysti-mystical stories. Island of the Dolls. There is an island near Mexico City, Isla de las Muñecas, Isla de la Muñeca, which means, Island of the Dolls. On the island you can see thousands of mutilated dolls hanging from trees. The spooky place was never intended to be a tourist attraction. However, thousands of tourists come there every year. For decades the dolls have been exposed to the elements which has affected their appearance. It is located in a swampy place among the canals dug by the ancient Aztecs. The world would never have known about him if one half-mad hermit had not populated him with dolls. Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztecs, was located in the ancient territory of Mexico. The city was built on Lake Texcoco and literally stood on the water, surrounded by many man-made canals. The tiny island of La Isla de la Muñeca was almost completely lost among the thickets that over time abundantly overgrown these channels, and was discovered in the 1990s when the authorities decided to clear the water area. Of course, people who lived in neighboring settlements knew about the existence of the island. And they also knew that for 40 years their crazy fellow countryman named Julio Santana Barrera had been living on it. Everyone was aware that the hermit has a fad. He picks up old dolls everywhere and takes them to his island. But few dared to visit him. Because this is a puppet place, you can't call it anything other than the entrance to the underworld. All around, on bushes, trees and snags, hang dolls. And these are not pretty baby dolls or pretty Barbies. These are real monsters. Dirty, with torn-off arms and legs, in frayed dresses, with mutilated faces, they look with their glassy eyes at everyone who visits the island. Some have no eyes at all. The poses in which these dolls are frozen in time are so ugly that even the most persistent person becomes uneasy at such a spectacle. As if this is a place of a terrible massacre or mass execution. From some dolls only the heads impaled on stakes remained. It was in such a company that the hermit mentioned above lived. He lived voluntarily. He himself arranged this terrible little world here. For what? There are several versions about this. The essence of all of them boils down to the fact that Barrera mutilated the dolls in order to ward off evil spirits from himself. That's just where these spirits come from. First version. Barrera once had a crazy wife who was afraid of dolls. And after her death, the spirit of this woman began to come to her ex-husband. He fled in fear to a desert island, hidden in the channels, and surrounded himself with dolls, in the hope that they would protect him. The second version says that once in these channels there was a mass drowning of babies. Since then their restless souls roamed the island. And Barrera settled on this island and found a way to drive them away, with the help of his dolls. However, the people liked the third version more, about the drowned girl. This story was told by the hermit himself when he was squeezed by stubborn journalists. A long time ago Barrera either found the body of a girl in one of the channels or heard her screams as she drowned. A little later the water brought the doll to the shore. Barrera decided that she belonged to a girl, and put her on a tree in memory of the poor girl who died. He was very worried that he could not help the baby. And soon the image of the girl completely took possession of him. She began to appear to him in dreams, crying and lamenting. At night behind the walls of his hut he heard steps, whispers and groans. The unfortunate man decided that her spirit was coming to him. What does this spirit want? Maybe he asks for another doll. Then the man began to look for other dolls and seat them in different places. He caught them thrown out by someone in the channels. I found it in garbage dumps when I got out to the mainland. Soon people themselves began to give him old unnecessary toys in exchange for vegetables from his garden. So gradually dozens and then hundreds of these dolls gathered on the island. At first Barrera hung them neatly on trees. But disturbing dreams continued to torment him. And Julio became quite frightened. Then he decided to do differently and began to mutilate these dolls, in the hope that they would scare away the annoying spirit and he would finally leave him alone. By what principle he placed them will forever remain a mystery. At first glance it might seem that he just scattered them randomly. However, if you look closely, you can see that this is not so. The dolls are securely fixed in their places and each is chosen with a certain meaning. And he planted the first doll in his hut at the head of a kind of altar. Other dolls are placed around it seated, and the altar itself now resembles a showcase of a junk shop. Julio Barrera died in 2001. His death was sudden and mysterious. The body of the hermit was found by his nephew Anastasio Santana, who had recently looked after his uncle and brought food and clothes to him on the island. Barrera was lying next to the very channel where he allegedly found the body of the deceased girl. According to the nephew, when he approached the body of his uncle he heard strange voices. If you liked this episode, be sure to like and subscribe so as not to miss the release of new stories. And thanks for watching.